year, and it's been one of the best parts about high school, and I'm really excited for this event.
My name is Emma. I was VP Accounting last year for the crew. I'm a senior in the crew, and I'm also super excited for the event. We worked hard for it.
I'm Claire. I'm also a senior. This is my 3rd year in the crew, and I am also very excited for this event. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, I'm Elena. I'm a sophomore. This is my 2nd year in the crew, and I'm also very excited to just for the speaker series.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm basically saying the exact same thing as everyone else. I've been in the crew 2 years, and I'm very excited.
Shelby, is your mom joining?
No, I'm just on her computer, so the name comes up as hers. I was trying to change that now.
All right, Ken, do you want to start letting people in?
Yep.
Okay, I have a quick question. What school seniors are you at?
Piedmont High School.
All right, so
Yeah,
it looks like
I graduated from Skyline in '67.
all right. All right, it's the Broning family and 2 others. Coming on.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, just waiting for the last people to come in.
Good boy.
Yeah, Elena, if you want to start us off, we can start the speaker series.
All right, thank you so much everyone for coming today. We created this series to try to get a deeper understanding into the behind the scenes of our community. And it's also to encourage everyone to connect with the people that we serve. So if anyone has any questions throughout the series, just put anything in the chat and we'll try our best to answer it. And the first person that we're interviewing is Emma Broning is interviewing Pastor Monty McLean from the College Ave Presbyterian.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. I'm a senior in PCSC, and I'm here talking to Pastor Monty. Monty, do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Monty. I'm the pastor at College Avenue Presbyterian Church. So it's on College Avenue, right near Rockridge Bard or Trader Joe's or Dryers, depending on what you like. And I have been there for 10 years. And before that, I served another church in Oakland for about 10 years in East Oakland. And I'm from California. I have 2 daughters. One's a freshman in college, the other's a sophomore, and I've lived in Oakland for about 20 years. Thanks.
And can you tell me a little bit about what College Ave does for the homeless population in Berkeley and Oakland?
Sure. So our church actually, it started accidentally working with the homeless more than 40 years ago when Oakland was really different than it is now. Rockridge was very different than it is now. Rockridge was reeling from the changes that came about with the construction of BART and the construction of the freeway and the tunnels. And there was no restaurants there. It's hard to imagine, but I guess there were no restaurants, no places to go. And so the church had started doing a free hot meal on Friday nights as a way to bring people together in the midst of a broken neighborhood. And so what started out as a way to probably mainly I work with people from the church and the neighbors. It actually quickly became a free dinner for those people who were houseless or that were really financially challenged. And so over 40 years, it's changed a lot and become what it is today through trial and error and good things. And so that's the main thing that our church does in terms of working with homeless or houseless populations as a concrete action.
And I noticed you used the word houseless. Why that word over homeless?
So I like the word houseless myself. I did not invent it, but we have a lot of our people that come to actually are housed. They might have their own housing, or they might live in a place with a whole bunch of other people, or they might be couch surfing. And some people actually have lived there for a long time and might own or have really cheap rent, but they're really, really below the poverty line in terms of what they're making, in terms of what life is. So that everyone's homeless is wrong.
And can you, are there any, one quick thing, if you're not talking right now, do you mind muting yourselves just so the audio is great? I'm not sure who is unmuted right now. Thank you. And can you tell me about, or are there any common experiences that you think the people who attend your events have?
Yeah, so I think, so our meals are Friday nights, every Friday night from 6 to 7, as a lot of you know from the crew, because you help us out with that. So we have a lot of people that have been coming for a very long time. I think, I don't know if it's a majority, but it's probably at least half of the people that come to our meal are people that have come for a long time. And their commonality that they share is that they have some connection to North Oakland or to the Rockridge neighborhood. Maybe they grew up in that neighborhood. Maybe they grew up in families that attended our church or lived around there, or their families still live around there. So there's some sort of connection for a lot of our people like that. There's also a lot of people that come from nearby encampments. There's also, we're kind of on a thoroughfare College Avenue from Broadway all the way down to UC Berkeley. And with Rockridge BART, there's actually a lot of people that live near Rockridge BART and travel up and down College Avenue. So we're on a thoroughfare. I think the other common experience or commonality between a lot of the guests that we work with is an ongoing challenge with addiction, whether that be alcohol or drugs, and using substances for self-medication to try to deal with problems or brokenness or hurts or physical pains. So I'd say those are the three commonalities.
And keeping that in mind, how can we better serve the people we do when we attend any homeless shelter or homeless meal?
So for our meal, I've tried to help us be really clear that we started doing this accidentally years ago. That's no reason not to do it, but to really recognize that we've made lots of choices and affirm today that we're not primarily and principally a homeless center. We're not primarily and principally a place that's dealing with addiction, but rather we want to primarily and principally be a church community that welcomes all people. So we have some of the people that come on Friday nights are active in our church community on a regular basis. So for me, it's really being clear about that with our people to make sure we have realistic expectations of what we can do so we can do what we want to do well. I find that a lot of our people come and what they're really looking for is connection. A lot of our people really like our meal on Friday nights because it's always homemade and it's always fresh And like someone told me Friday night when we had food made by an Indian couple in our church, so it was actually really good. He said, this is my favorite event of the whole week, coming for a good dinner like that. So we try to really say, this is an hour when you could come inside the building before. You can sit, you can stay the whole hour. This is your seat. We're going to treat you with respect. We want to know you. We hope you want to know us. So when you come, I would encourage people as they come to talk to other folks. It is life-changing just to be spoken to. If you've not been spoken to directly, or people always look away from you, you just become dehumanized really quickly. And so that's our big thing, is we're providing a hot meal, which is a small thing on a certain level, but it's also trying to provide a connection, and not just serve folks who are hungry or maybe needing a spot to go to for an hour, but also inviting us to respond to the hungers of those who maybe aren't physically hungry, but are hungry to be involved, are hungry to make a difference, are hungry to give, to serving the greater good of our community. So.
That's really powerful. What do you think is one thing that you've learned from your experience in College Ave?
I have learned, so I'd say in terms of working with Friday Night Meal and having a community where people really are welcomed into the church, I have learned that you never know what's going to happen. I say that because about a year ago, we had one of our guests who is she's pretty nice woman, but when she's been drinking, she is a hellion. And she came to church and she proceeded to scream the F word nonstop for about 15 minutes. And so it was a real challenge. I've never had to deal with that. How do you respect her? How do you be consistent with our values? But then also respect the people that aren't like her, that didn't come for that. So for me, it's been a big challenge to really try to integrate and be coherent in what I believe spiritually, what I believe in terms of human rights, and then also what I believe about myself and self-respect. That's been the biggest challenge.
All right, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. Next, we're going to hear from Claire Lichty, and she's going to be speaking to the volunteer coordinator, Julie Merrill from St. Mary's Homeless Shelter.
Hi. Hey, Julie. So Emma sort of already covered it, but just introduce yourself. Give us your official.
Okay. I'm Julie Merrill, and I work at St. Mary's Center. It's a senior center on San Pablo and Brockhurst. And we started over 40 years ago down at 8th and Jefferson. The Nuns of the Holy Name started a Sunday lunch. And so we've moved on down to where we are now and expanded all sorts of programs. But my focus is on Sunday lunch. And it's when seniors or anyone in the neighborhood, anyone who's over 55, can come and enjoy a fabulous, homemade, fresh Sunday lunch. We open our doors at 11 on Sunday for coffee and pastries, and then lunch is served at 1:30. And many things go on between when we open the door and lunch, and Domino's is always a main attraction for the group that comes for that. There are people who talk with one another. There are people who watch all the different sporting games. And it's a different volunteer group each Sunday. And so it rotates throughout the year. And I must say we always like PCSC because it's always homemade and it's always delicious. And really the seniors don't often get a chance to be around young people. So that's really why you stand out, besides the good food, of course, but that's really why you stand out so well.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that anyone in the neighborhood can come to Sunday lunches. Are they free?
It's $1, and if they don't have $1, they have to come and negotiate with me.
And how do you, like, does that make people treat the lunch differently? Like, why does St. Mary's do that?
Well, because they feel like the seniors should need to learn, or need to give something in return for all the goodness that they're getting. And if they can't, then there are ways they can help clean up or do this and that, or an IOU, which I don't keep track of, so.
And in addition to doing Sunday lunches, could you tell us a little bit about the winter shelter?
Well, our winter shelter usually runs from December 1st through April 30th. And we are authorized to house up to 30 seniors, and it is 55 and older, because they are the most vulnerable among the unhoused or houseless. I like both of those. And when the seniors come to our winter shelter, there are rules and regulations that they must follow. And James can speak more to that. And so it's really a program, not simply a shelter, because our goal is to save enough of their money so that they can go out and rent a place whenever there is a place to rent.
And then could you tell us about transitional housing?
Well, and then after the winter shelter, then some of our seniors can go to one of our 3 transitional housing. And one is closer to home, and then James is in Presentation House, and then the women's shelter is a Friendly Manor.
And as you mentioned, like, PCSC does a lot of work, mainly with Sunday lunches. And so how can we best serve the seniors?
Well, I think you're doing a heck of a job. I think the one thing that you might consider is to have a couple of people that aren't working, who would be willing to go out and talk to the seniors. And I think that would be really, really good. And if that's something that you're willing to do, because you've probably experienced that with Pastor Monty, with some of his guests. And I think it would be really meaningful and beneficial to you as well, and certainly the seniors.
And tell us a little bit about the seniors. So, like, what's the biggest misconception that people have about?
Well, they have just as good a heart, and they're just as motivated and so experienced and have such wonderful stories to tell. They're not the other, they are you and me. And they can be they're a good friend. They can be a good friend.
And for someone coming through the winter shelter or transitional housing, what would a success story look like?
Well, a success story would look like they found their apartment or their room, and they're living there successfully. Perhaps they want a job, or perhaps they do volunteering. They may have become recovered from any substance abuse, or perhaps they have mental health issues, and we've been able to stabilize them, so that through all of these steps, the goal is to re-enter them to individual living and self-sufficiency.
And then tell us a little bit about your experience with St. Mary's. So how did you first get involved? How did you become the coordinator?
Well, I had a friend who was, years ago, one of their fundraisers. And she wrote a lot of grants for St. Mary's, and there was some news conference that they were holding. So I came with her and I heard what they said. And I just said, hey, I got to work there. That was, it was, I was sold.
And how long have you been working there?
Oh, well, on and off since 2000.
Right, 20
Yeah.
years. And then how has St. Mary's changed because of COVID?
Well, from the very beginning, we've always had people come to us so that we can provide them services. So then we had to pivot and so we're taking everything out. So instead of you providing food here on Sunday, as you know, then we deliver it to the 3 transitional houses. And we provide grocery bags and meals when we have volunteers that will do so. And there are calls that we make to all the seniors. So we're trying to do as much as we can through outreach.
And in your experience with the seniors, what is the significance of a homemade meal?
Well, when you have been on the streets, I just can't imagine the difference between a beautiful homemade meal and the love that goes into that goes into that, and that is very much understood and felt at our dinners.
And what has been your favorite part of working at St. Mary's?
You know, I think it's whatever I can do to be connected to the seniors, because I get to learn so much from them. And frankly, I learned gratitude from them, because when I would be around them during the winter shelter and they would say, oh, I'm so grateful to be inside and have a nice cot and warm, and all these people are making wonderful meals for us. That's when I learned about gratitude.
Okay, so next we're gonna talk with James Killingsworth, who's a gentleman who's currently living in the St. Mary's transitional housing. Thanks so much, Julie, also.
Sure.
And thanks, Emma, for organizing it all. Okay, James, tell us about finding St. Mary's and the programs you've gone through since joining. I think you might be on mute.
James, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
Julie's gonna run over across the building.
Can you unmute him from your computer, Ken?
No.
Yeah, we can take this time to say thanks to Ken, Emma, Julie, Monty, James for all speaking and organizing everything. Really appreciate it. Just waiting.
Yeah, and I want to say I'm really proud of the teens who organized this thing.
Can you hear me now?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't touch it. I'm sorry. As I was about to say, Miss Julie is a very, very sweet person, but she can hold her ground. We've had some incidents where I've been around where she actually had to put people out. But that, to say the least, my experience learning about St. Mary's was, oh God, when I first lost my apartment and I had to live in my van for a while. And so I moved from my van to my church, then on the streets, and then finally some organization in East Oakland, I can't think of the name of them, told me to get in contact with St. Mary's. I got in contact with St. Mary's, and fortunately, it was Miss Julie, who I talked to, gave me the directions how to get over here and what to do. My first counselor was Jay and they interviewed me. I have a little dog that's a service dog, and I had my papers from the doctor, and I had all my paperwork. I had to have my ID, Social Security, and my base of income, which is my SSI, my Social Security retirement. I was then accepted in, and then my regular counselor was Tiffany, Miss Tiffany. And after that, within maybe 3 or 4 days, they gave me a call, said, come on down. You're more than welcome to come into the shelter. After that, I stayed in the shelter, I guess till January. So from November to January, so which wasn't too long. I moved pretty fast. And they evaluate you. You'd be surprised on your conduct and how you act on the street. And you really be surprised how the counselors notice what you do on the streets, and sometimes you don't know it. But they do keep an eye on you. And I would help out whenever I could. I did whatever I could. So like I say, in a short time, I was moved into a transition home, and that's where I am now. But like I say, through organizations and good people here at St. Mary's, everything moved like clockwork.
And Julie mentioned before some of the like rules and regulations you have to go through as part of the winter shelter program.
Oh.
Could you speak a little more to that?
Oh, yes. We would have, well, okay, let's see, how should I start? Okay, in the evenings, we would have classes at 4 o'clock, and then we had to be in the shelter at 5 o'clock. Now, some of the courses they gave us at 4 o'clock was like anger management, how to get into a senior citizen home, fill out applications, breathing techniques, how to just relax. We went on field trips. We went to the zoo. We've gone on picnics, and we traveled. They take us a lot of places. You can go swimming. If you need help, they're there to help you. As a matter of fact, I was about to lose my storage. Oh, well, first of all, some of the rules are, like I said, at 5 o'clock, we have dinner. After dinner, we have to clean up everything to get ready to go to bed. But then if you smoke, we had a smoke break. Then after that, we'd come and set up the cots. The women would be on one side, the men on the other side. We set up our cots, got ready for bed. And if you, like I said, wanted to smoke, we had to go out and smoke. But then when lights are out, lights out. There's no sound, no music, no talking. You got to get your nap. You got to go to bed. You had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. That was it. Lights on, everybody up, put up your cots. We have a little breakfast. And then at 9 o'clock, we had to be out the shelter because the shelter would be closing down. 8 o'clock, I'm sorry, 8 o'clock. But at 9 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, we were allowed to come back into the shelter because that's when they would serve us coffee, Danish, or something like that for the seniors or the homeless people out on the streets. And then after that, they might, if it was raining, we could stay in for lunch if we were going to have lunch. Lunch was from 11 to 12. But a lot of the rules, they weren't too strict. Just be yourself. Don't cause a fight. Don't be obnoxious to your neighbor. Everything was fine. But we had a few people that didn't get along and they had to go. And that was that.
Tell us a story about your storage.
Well, I was going to let my storage go. And excuse me one second. He wants to get in on that too. See, okay, that's Boo Boo. Okay, you all right now? Okay, get over there. Anyway, my storage, my storage was about to be forfeited, and of course, you give so much money, like it's not, they hold money for you. I had given a money order for $400, and I said, "May I have my $400 back to pay for my storage?" They could not find the check. They didn't know where it went. But according to Sharon, who is the director, had them write a St. Mary's check, and I was able to save my storage. And then we put a trace on the check. It was a post office money order. And I put a trace on it. We could never find it. They didn't find it. So when I got the check back, I reimbursed St. Mary's, which, like I say, some people wouldn't even done it and say, well, you're on your own. That's your loss. But no, they came through, and I gave them the money back because it was mine, and they did give me a check, and I gave back the money that they gave me. So it was a little, they said, James, they were so embarrassed. It has never happened. But like I said, I had my stub, had my receipts, everything went fine with no problem.
And what has your experience been at Sunday lunches?
Well, that's the thing. We've been missing our Sunday lunches since this COVID thing. See, she forgot to tell you that. Since this thing, everything's been shut down. And I do miss Sundays because I usually come up and help Julie do things up here and serve or whatever, clean up. But Sunday lunches were great. Oh man, sometimes some dinners, like for instance, Thanksgiving and Christmas. If it's not on that day, if it's on Sunday, oh man, we eat so good. Sometimes we eat so good we can't even get up and get out of here. And then they'd be sending us home with things. It'd be so much food. It's great.
And so you're living in transitional housing now. How do you like it?
Well, it's like living with sisters and brothers and cousins. You have your ups and you have your downs. You know, it's just like being in a family house. We have two Caucasian men. We have 2 black ladies, and the rest are Afro-American men. Now, that's like a melting pot, and we're going to have our differences. But basically, we all get along pretty well. We stay to ourselves. I guess they call me the house captain or the house daddy or whatever. If there's a problem, they put it on me to get it done. But I don't mind. I have all the numbers to most of the counselors and most of the people, the janitors and everybody up here. So if we have a problem with the toilet or the sink or the garbage, or somebody gets locked out of their room and don't have a key, I call them. But if it's on Saturday or Sunday, they sleep on the couch. They're out of luck. But I'm the house captain. But like I said, it's like a big family. We get along pretty well. And we stay to ourselves. But if somebody needs help, I'm there to help them.
Do you like being the house captain?
It's a challenge. I don't mind, because if somebody told me, I'm glad you're the captain, because I don't have the patience for it. And sometimes I do lose patience, but I've been a people person all my life. As I told you earlier, earlier interview, I worked at the Coliseum. I work around people. I love people. And so, you know, sometimes you have to balance things. So no, I don't mind at all.
Mm-hmm. And what are your future plans?
As Julie said, to keep on moving up, I'm looking for either a studio apartment or a 1-bedroom for me and my little guy. And right now with everything frozen, we just being patient, just wait. So as soon as everything opened up, hey, I'm gonna be putting in those applications.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want everyone to know about you?
Oh, I've been through a lot. I've hit bottom. God's been with me. My little guy, my little dog's been with me. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional. But we've gotten through it. I'll be 72 this coming January. I'm still here and we're still going. And I just hope to make it better. I just gonna keep going up.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for talking, James. I've loved talking with you these past days.
And of course, he wants to get in on that too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Bridget?
Yes, so thank you to all of the inspiring and insightful speakers. I really appreciate everything you shared with us today, and thank you everyone else for listening. So for those of you who may not know, this is a Piedmont Community Service Crew affiliated event ran by Emma Broning. And so basically PCSC is a youth-run crew of over 170 high schoolers where we do a variety of community service events. Darn it, I was gonna send the link in the chat. Emma, if you could possibly send that, that'd be great. If you are interested in joining, Emma is going to add the sign-up link in the chat. And if you have any questions with that, feel free to reach out to me or Ken. But yeah, so we do a lot of different events. St. Mary's and College Ave are 2 of the many that we do. And our next College Ave dinner is coming up on October 30th. And we usually do events with St. Mary's like once a month. But due to COVID, we haven't been able to do that as much, but we're still doing some events with College Ave. So there's a Facebook group with all those events. And if you're interested in signing up, I highly encourage it. Those are 2 of my favorite events that we do. So now we are going to go into a Q&A. So if you want to type your question in the chat, I can ask it for you, or if you want to do the thumbs up emoji, I think there's an option for that. We can call on you and you can ask. So I can't see everyone, so maybe just type in the chat if you have a question, and you can unmute yourself. Or maybe someone with gallery view can call on you.
Hey, Bridget,
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out that we're doing, since I have Julie and Monty here, this is a reality check. We're doing St. Mary's on Sunday, September 13th. And Monty, we're doing College Ave on Friday, September 18th.
Awesome. So sooner than I knew, but if you guys are interested, anyone who's here listening, to sign up for those events, especially after hearing everything that the speakers have shared with us, make it even more meaningful. Okay, we have a question for any of the speakers. Maybe we can go in order: Monty, Julie, James. So what is something that not houseless people often do or say to houseless people or people living in transitional housing that you wish they wouldn't say or do? So Monty, if you want to unmute and answer.
That's a good question. I'd say for me, more so than something they say that they shouldn't, is I find a lot of times people are afraid, and so they won't say anything. And then you just miss out. You miss out on, just like Julie was saying too, we all miss out. And that people are people, and fear gets in the way too much. So it's kind of a non-answer answer to your question, but I'd say just go for it. People who are housed or not, everybody loves to talk. And
Yeah.
someone who you can tell right away if they don't want to talk.
Yeah, that's very true. The events that I've gone to where I've gone out of my comfort zone and started conversations have been one of the more memorable ones. Julie, yeah, go ahead.
James had something to say.
Yeah, one thing, our neighbors had the interpretation while we're in this transition house, most of these people are drug addicts or gangsters or people just out of prison. And then they come to find out we're really just people that's lost our homes or something like that. And over the last, say 6 months since I've been there, most neighbors say, "How you doing? Can we help you with anything?" But the first impressions that they gave us, with this transition house, oh, there's dope addicts, they're gangsters or something like that. But with us talking to them and they talking to us, the relationship has changed. It's gotten nicer. It's much more calmer, say. And they'll go by and say, "Hey, how you doing now?" So it's a lot different now. It's great, but it's just first impressions, and they just have to learn about us.
Yeah, that definitely goes hand in hand with what Monty said. Once you initiate conversation, you get to learn a lot more about people.
Right.
So it's definitely, yeah. Julie, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think that's really true, that if you can get beyond your fear, at least in St. Mary's Center and evidently Presbyterian, that just go and start speaking to someone, get beyond your fear and talk to them, and it will most likely be very rewarding.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question for Julie and Monty. How do you keep doing this kind of work year after year? Thomas has dropped in to volunteer for a day or so, and he is amazed by what you guys do. What role does your faith have? We can begin with Monty.
That's a great question. Julie and James are really on the front line way more than I am. I shouldn't quantify it like that. It's different. They're on different front lines, and I'm really appreciative of them. I think for me, in terms of faith and Christian faith, for me, it's about showing up. Is how I like to say it. Is you just got to show up. God will do it all, but you got to show up, and God invites us to show up. There's a couple of sayings I love. Mother Teresa, she says that we can do no great things, but we can do small things with great love. And that's a good reminder too, that, you know, if you're afraid because you think you have to have something profound to tell someone, oftentimes, you know, we all like to hear we look good, or, you know, we're having a good hair day. That could be a small thing with great love that changes someone's day. Dr. King talked about that the solution to our problems in our society is that we need to embrace unarmed truth and unconditional love. And that means just welcoming the truth as it is, and just loving whoever is right in front of us and allowing them to love us back. I find for me, that's what keeps me going. And even when I'm burnt out, I try to focus on that. For me, the Friday night meal is just one part of what I'm doing. And so my goal really is, I've been trying to help our church to really say we're responding to the hungers of Oakland. Hunger for food, like I said, but also hunger for service, hunger to be involved, hunger to know your city, like the crew members. And so my responsibility also is to respond to the hungers, the spiritual hungers of the people in the community that I'm in charge of. And so for me, it's really also trying to empower them to be involved, because it's not just crew members who are afraid. Sometimes it's, you know, church people, it's all of us. I mean, I can be afraid. I had to go out, we do Zoom church, and somebody was screaming during church this morning. And so when there was a long video being played, I ran outside and talked with a woman, Kay, who comes to the dinner every week, who was screaming and crying outside because she thought she was going to be arrested. And you just never know. You just got to show up. I find I'm always renewed. Maybe not exactly in the moment, but eventually I see God show up as well.
That's beautifully said, Monty. Thank you. Julie, would you like to add anything?
Well, that it's perfectly said, I think. And for me, since I'm doing what I love to do, then it doesn't tire me out as it would a 9-to-5 or something, a different kind of job. And I just think if I try to go with an open heart and an open mind and respond so that the seniors know that I really care about them, and it works. And even the people who are living on the street around St. Mary's, they watch out for us. And so it's a community, it's a community, and we're all just doing the best we can for each other, hopefully.
That's beautifully said. Really quick, typical Ken moment. He wants everyone to turn on their cameras so we can take a quick little screenshot photo. If everyone can do that, that would be great. I know it's late on a Sunday, might not be looking your best, but do it for the Facebook.
Come on, we can get up in here too.
Ken, if you want to say like 3, 2, 1, just go ahead.
Here you go.
All right, 3, 2, 1. I'm reviewing. All right, that's a keeper. Proceed.
Great. Okay, so we have a few more questions. So for Julie, does St. Mary's organize neighborhood building events to promote good neighborliness? Maybe this could possibly be a PCSC event in the future, but if you have anything to say about that.
Well, we do, and several of members of your group have helped us in, we have a preschool as well for the neighborhood kids. And I believe you've worked on different projects there. And we were able to buy the lot catty corner across the street. And so we will be building a quite a tall, well, I think three-story building in the next couple of years, and it will be retail down below and then senior housing above. So we will be doing building in the community. There is a San Pablo Improvement Association group like that, and they meet here. And before COVID, there were Friday night walks about ceasefire to let everyone in the neighborhood know that we care about them, and and provide them with resources if they need that. So we're also a voting center. I'm not sure about this year, but St. Mary's is very much involved in the community.
That's awesome. I didn't know you guys did all that. You should definitely get PCSC more involved with those events. So then another question for James. Since PCSC mostly cooks for the residential houses these days, what's your dream request for some future meal that we can make for you guys?
Oh, I can make a whole list on that. Let's see, gumbo, jambalaya, barbecue, you know, something like that.
We'll definitely keep that in mind. Barbecue and jambalaya. Okay, Ken, I'm not sure who your question is directed towards.
Oh, maybe that was to Julie, and this came from I guess James's comment about talking to the neighbors. That, you know, I guess the neighbors relative to, what's that, James? What house are you in?
Presentation house.
Presentation house, yeah. So I was just thinking that my question about like, I don't know, block party or something like that, would that help? And so my question was, you know, NIMBY, that's not in my backyard. Do some of the neighbors resent having a transitional home in their area? And
well, it's almost anywhere you go. You know, you're gonna have some don't care, some greet you with open arms, and some that could care less. So it's one of those open arms kind of deal. You know, you just have to like grin and bear it or take it stride by stride. You know, but like I say, most of the people are pretty good, but you do have a few that are standoffish and, you know, give you that look. But mostly people in the neighborhood are very nice, very nice.
Okay.
So block party, you know, it could help, but I don't see no solution to it. But other than that, you know, we get along with everybody, and everybody's getting along with us right now.
Well, you have such great energy. I'm sure everyone wants to be a good neighbor to you. So a question for Julie.
Julie wants to respond, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
My bad.
One other thing that I thought of, and maybe you can help next time, is that we usually, not this year, but usually have quite a large Juneteenth celebration. They shut down Brockhurst, which from San Pablo to the next street over, which I can't think of right at the moment.
31st.
So whole block, and it's quite a big deal. So that's something you could think about. It's in Juneteenth next year.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. So a question for Julie. Can you talk a bit about senior advocacy?
Well, that is something that we really like to do. And that's also part of the winter shelter. One of the goals is to teach the seniors, let them find their voice, because they're so used to having people not hear them and not value what they have to say. So one of the things that we try to get them to do is to advocate for themselves. And I think James is a great example. Who could speak better for the transition, St. Mary's to transition housing than James? And so we we are really close with the Alameda County Community Food Bank, and they rent buses, and we take seniors up to Sacramento when there are advocacy days for around food issues or increase in SSI or food stamps, or maybe James, you went up there one time. I don't know.
No, I didn't go, but a few people that have moved out. Jerome was one person that
that's right.
spoke up there, and he was really good. Jerome and a few other people, but we do have people that had bills passed when they're going up from St. Mary's and spoke at the legislature in Sacramento.
Yeah. And they often go to City Hall when there's something cooking there.
Right.
Or contact our local council member and work for voting issues. We always have lots of, I think we will have the League of Women Voters if we can open up, but we'll get that information out because they have a pretty nonpartisan a lot of nonpartisan information to get out about voting.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have time for a few more questions if people want to drop those in the chat. I have a question for James. What's your dog's name?
My little doggy's name, and don't laugh, is Boo Boo. And Boo Boo, as a matter of fact, Boo Boo and I were in a magazine for seniors, and they interviewed him and I.
Oh, wow.
And we were on the front cover of the magazine. Julie, I don't know if you have a book back there or not. Can you show it to him? And they interviewed us on there. So he's a little celebrity too.
That's awesome.
I know Danny has one somewhere around there. Oh, hang on. Go ahead. I think I know where one is. Go ahead, Julie.
I bet that's James's phone. All right, can I ask my question to Julie?
Oh, yes.
We should wait for James.
Okay, yeah, I made it back. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see, I'm gonna put it up here. There we are.
Oh my gosh.
That's a celebrity.
That's a great photo.
Isn't it?
And then,
yeah, that's awesome.
Let's see.
That's really cool. Yeah, Ken, if you want to ask your question, go ahead.
All right, Julie. You know, mostly PCSC does the Sunday lunches and these days food for the people in the transitional homes. But are there other needs that PCSC could help with, like for the seniors, other than the meals?
Well, we also have volunteers who bring us non-perishable foods because we provide grocery bags every Tuesday for the various seniors around here. So there's a list that I can send if anyone's interested, but people we have it set up as a little pantry or our own little store, so to speak. And we prepare different grocery bags. And also, if we hear of someone in the neighborhood who needs some non-perishable foods, we take care of that too. And that's an area that we hope to expand. You know, it's so, we keep thinking, oh, it's only going to be a while. And, oh, it's just a little longer. Yeah, well, I think that we are planning that it'll be next year before we're able to open the doors, because St. Mary's has such vulnerable seniors that we have to be super careful and listen to the health leader in Alameda County. Yeah.
Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I just want to add a final comment to say thank you so much to everyone who came, and thank you so much to all the speakers. It was so interesting to listen to you guys speak about your experiences. And it was really touching, and I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else did too. So thank you.
Say one more thing before you leave. One other thing St. Mary's has done for us since this COVID thing has been going on, they have a nurse and a trainee that comes every Thursday between 2 and 4 and actually give us a test for the COVID disease and our blood pressure. So that is one other thing that St. Mary's has done for us to make sure we stay healthy.
That's great. That's awesome.
That's you.
Glad to hear. Well, thank you everyone so much.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Make sure we want to have future events. So crew members that are listening, get involved. If you like doing this, you could help to organize. Emma's going to be graduating, we hope. And we want somebody else to help take over. And then anyone else in the audience, if you have ideas for other speaker series topics, bring them up. Thanks.
Yeah, see, Emma ran this whole thing. She organized it, and I'd say it was really successful. Thanks to all the speakers and everyone who showed up, and to Emma, of course. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope to see you all soon, whether that's in person or via Zoom, which it will probably be that. So thanks everyone.
This is the last time you'll see us without a mask.
Right. Hopefully.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Thanks, Bridget. Bye.
Thanks, Ken.
You want to join the next call, the Piedmont Service Club call?
Tonight, I can't.
Right
I have to
now.
miss
Okay.
dinner.
Yeah. All right.
But maybe I'll come late. But
All right.
I'm probably waiting. Bye.
Bye.